mentally I wasn't in the best place, and I didn't even know if I could do music at that point.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Time with DYVN, joined today by my good friend Johnny from Hong Kong. Johnny, aka Metic. So a big friendly welcome, Metic. Alright, so what's up, Metic? Welcome to Coffee Time with DYVN and Metic this time. Hey, nice to have you here.
Yeah, it's so awesome to finally get to talk to you face to face and stuff, and especially for your podcast too. I love what you're doing with your YouTube. Just there's a lot of different content, and yeah, it's stoked to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Nice. It's we're quite in different places. I'm in Berlin right now, and you're
Hong Kong. Yeah, Hong Kong. It's so it's like 4:30 your time in the afternoon, so it's 10:30 at night for me.
wow.
Yeah, so everything yeah. But yeah, I mean it's very far apart, but at the same time the internet has brought us together.
With a little bit of a connection issue in the beginning, but we're here and it seems to work well so far.
Yeah, so far so good. We'll power through it.
Let me just open up my notes. I actually wrote down a couple of notes and now I can't find them. I'm prepared as ever. I also got like 10 minutes before we were supposed to start recording the podcast, I texted you like, yo, I need another couple of minutes.
Yo, I hear you, man. I hope that bass line turned out fire.
It is a nice bass line. The recording turned out crappy. Yeah, I was stuck recording a bass line for like the last 50 minutes or something. No, I was actually writing bass lines and then I tried to record something for the last 20 minutes. My brain was already so didn't work.
I know what you mean.
But it's a good, and you know what? My brain still goes like, my fingers still go like boom, 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 boom. So,
I
can definitely
hear you,
still
man.
feel it. So
that's why the coffee is probably perfect timing for you right now.
it is amazing. I'm actually sitting here. I ate one hand of peanuts and an apricot. So
Yeah.
let's pour some coffee on that.
That's awesome. I too bad I can't follow you with the coffee. It is 10 p.m. I am drinking just water.
That's fine. That is fine. So you just released an album quite recently. It's been a month, I think, almost.
Yeah. It's
or
been
a little
month,
longer
man.
a little over a month.
Yeah, just about.
And it's called. Wait, what is it called? It's something with home. No, it's called Soul Feather.
Yeah, so the single, but you're right though. So the single from Soul Feather is Finding Home, and
Right.
Yeah, it's just I basically, it was like a 7-track. The album's got 7 tracks, 4 full tracks, 3 really short kind of like interludes and stuff, and basically they were all made during like a 2-3 week period when I was in New York City earlier on this year. Like around like January to February that type of thing, and then I was just kind of in a headspace where I've been in New York for like a year and a half, but I didn't really have like an album to show for it, and I just got a little scared and desperate, and I was like, "Fuck, okay, it's time for an album."
I know that feeling.
Yeah, it just kind of push it all out.
And you're like, you told me, because we didn't ever FaceTime before, but we did do a lot of voice recording, DMing and stuff like that. Because we just released a song together as well, which is actually more recent even than the album. But I want to talk about the album a bit more. Actually, I'm gonna take a second and play the little trailer for the song we made now.
Yeah, sounds good.
And we're back. Yeah. I'm gonna edit that later. That was 2 seconds for us and 30 seconds for you guys. But yeah, that's how this whole thing happened. Like that's how we wanted to, like, that's the way I thought we should like sit down and talk properly. You told me that you're like traveling between Hong Kong and New York City quite a lot, or how is that?
So basically I back in 2019, my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, she had an opportunity to just basically transfer from the Hong Kong to the New York office for her job, and then that's when we were really toying with the idea of, okay, should we do it? Let's do it. And then at that time, I'd basically quit my job a year prior to do music, pretty much. And I was like, okay, yeah, New York is much better, like much more diverse place for music, and in terms of like beats and stuff, it's much more vibrant than what I'm seeing here in Hong Kong. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And then, but for my status, neither of us are Americans. I kind of need to like get, toe the line a little bit. I can't really stay in the country too long, that type of thing. So I need to step out. So I'm basically still splitting time between the two places, and right now I'm waiting on a visa to go back, essentially. So it will be less splitting time, hopefully. But yeah, I think either way, I have very firm like roots here in Hong Kong, and I'm also trying to meet as many people as I can while I'm in New York as well. So yeah, just trying to explore both worlds and maximize the relationships I can have in two places.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Sounds also pretty exhausting, but at the same time, like a lot of new impressions and a lot of exciting adventures.
Yeah. One thing I have to be super grateful for is, when I come back here to Hong Kong, my parents are, I can just crash with my parents. I have like a semi-studio set up here, and I can just kind of get ready to just hit the ground running, that type of thing. So super grateful for that, and and just I'm not, I get to spend more time with my parents as well, so that it's really it's kind of the best of both worlds a little bit, trying to.
Right. That's awesome.
Trying,
Is it more, would you say is it more exhausting or more exciting?
It's I think for me it's kind of exciting, because I think when I go to New York, with the exception of this last trip, because I went back in late 2020, December of 2020, and then early 2021, and then everything, literally the first week I got back, there was I had been away from New York for about like 7-8 months, and there's so many stores were closed and nothing was happening. So, but other than this past trip back to New York, everything was has been great, in terms of meeting people, meeting different collectives, beat makers and all that. And this time coming back to Hong Kong, knock on wood, the COVID situation has been generally okay, and then I've been able to kind of go out and meet other musicians and producers here. So so it's been good to it's been good. Yeah, I've been kind of adopting the same mindset of when I was in New York, here in Hong Kong as well, just meeting as many people as I can.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
You even just played a gig last Friday, right?
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
That was, oh my, I haven't played in front of an audience for so long, and it was so strange. It was so strange. It felt weird, but it was super fun, just having people like respond to your music in a physical sense, like
in a non-comment section way.
Yeah, exactly, in a non-comment section way. I miss it, and hope to do more soon.
Yeah, I cannot, like, I'm very happy for you, and I'm also a bit envious. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm like, I miss that so much as well.
I think Yeah, I think we're still kind of finding like a sweet spot because there's still people, Hong Kong. There's still people who are like wary of the vaccine and all that stuff. So, but but yeah, I think hopefully it stays that way, and Hong Kong can keep putting on stuff like this.
Right. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Things,
I
things
guess
what I've learned,
time will tell.
what I've learned from 2020 and early 2021 is things could change so fast. Like I'm nothing surprises me anymore. So just gotta make the most while while things last.
100%. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's something a lot of people have learned like as of recently.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so you were just like, let's hop back to the album real quick. I don't know.
Yeah,
This is
sure.
like turning into a little bit of an interview, but I just wrote down a couple of questions that I was interested in myself because but you recorded this video on Instagram where you talked about the songs on your album a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to like give us a quick like the whole story? Because I love it when
Yeah.
us as foremost instrumental musicians, like when there's a story behind a body of work. I think that's a really cool. Sorry, my brain is still in bass mode. I don't know why. I'm just like boom, 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 boom,
You're just thinking
boom,
of
boom,
boom,
boom.
boom, boom, boom.
No, but yeah, that's. I just want to
should-
like hear it firsthand from you. Oh, hold on one second. Let me just.
Yeah.
My camera just died, and camera's back on. Okay,
Back on. Okay,
Yeah.
we're good.
we're good.
Yeah, I think in terms of you're totally right about instrumental music, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like more and more like back in the day when I first started making instrumental music, and that was like 10 years ago. I used to just just churn out tracks and stuff, and because it was all practice, right? But then like the more I kind of did it, the more I did it, the more I wanted to really bring out like stories, and like you said, instrumental music, just because something doesn't have lyrics doesn't mean it should be any less of a storytelling device, right? So
Totally.
it's just that you have to be a lot more deliberate with telling people like what this is about. So this is what I kind of tried to do with that whole like behind the scenes or what this is about. Yeah, you kind of just have to tell people. So yeah, that's
Give like people a
I think-
manual of how to listen to the music.
yeah.
Or like with a piece of
'cause-
art where it says like below the picture what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be like, and because it's just splashes of color,
Yeah.
like modern. art.
Yeah, so I don't really know. At the same time, I don't know how much I should be giving away as well, because ultimately art is super subjective. So
Right.
a listener might be like, "Oh, this doesn't remind me of Finding Home at all. It reminds me of the opposite or whatever." But so like my overthinking self would like pull me the other direction. But ultimately I just reasoned it with myself that I made this with a clear purpose, and I owe it to myself to at least present this purpose to other people. It's up to other people whether or not they want to watch it or listen to it, but if I don't do it, no one's gonna do it. So
Totally.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, just to really distill the album is just, yeah, the album's essentially just about my move from Hong Kong to New York, and it kind of follows like the timeline of first arriving fresh off the boat into a new city, and then everything's amazing, oh, like just like apartment hunting, oh, this coffee shop, blah 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 blah, like everything is amazing and exhilarating. You're meeting new people, and then it also follows the arc of the downsides of living in a new city where you don't know many people. You miss home, you miss your friends that you left at home, and you don't really know you're trying to find a sense of belonging in this new city, but there's no place like Hong Kong at the same time. So it kind of goes up and down a little bit, and just kind of trying to present like a candid view of like what it's like to move to a new city, at least for me.
I like that it has those ups and downs, because it also makes the music more obviously interesting, and like gives the opportunity to make different songs, like not 10 songs.
True.
It's not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was convenient too. Yeah. Yeah, it was convenient.
It's all
just
a
to
cheap
have a little
trick.
variety. Yeah. Gotcha.
Busted. Cool. That was a weird sound for you.
But what about Calibri? I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
in terms of what drove you to, obviously, like when I first heard your very first draft, like I just heard like Springtime. I think you actually sent it to me in March.
Yeah.
Like it was while I was quarantining, actually. When I got back to Hong Kong, I was with Karen, my wife. We were doing the mandatory hotel quarantine upon arrival into Hong Kong, and it was 21 days.
Oh my!
And
goodness.
I still remember. I was just like so grateful that you like hit me up and like just kind of like gave me a purpose,
to stay at home
during this quarantine.
My goodness, I didn't even know.
Yeah, and then I just remember listening to like your first draft, and it was like it just gave me so much hope. It was like springtime vibes to the max, at least for me. And then like birds and hummingbirds in the background, and I was lucky in terms of I could open the window for my hotel room, which you can't really do in a lot of other hotels. So,
oh wow,
it would be like the perfect morning for me to like listen to that, open the window,
have a
just,
hummingbird
like, my
Disney
coffee
style come to your window, bring you your coffee.
Yeah, I just remember that being like, that was my purpose. For
that's
a good,
amazing to hear. I didn't know that story. That's the first. That's an exclusive here on Coffee Time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's. I think your story is way more exciting than the one I'm going to tell you. I just had this like this lick on the flute in my head, like this. Dude. No, that's your guitar that I was just saying. I know I think it's that or the one in the chorus, but I can't. Yeah, that was it exactly. The track sounds better for everyone watching or listening. I had that in my head, and I was about to go to bed and just chill with my wife and my daughter, and then I was like, let me just record this one idea that I have in my head. I sat down, I had my machina in the living room, and so I just sat down there, recorded that, and I was like, okay, I also know what the drums are going to be like. So I was like, let's get those drums down really quick. Nice. They were actually programmed, like on the step sequencer, and then after that, I was like, bass line, and that like, and I ended up sitting there for like 3 or 4 hours in a row.
Wow.
Because I just, I've got this Machina Plus. Those who are on my channel, I talk about it a lot because I use it a lot.
I love what you're doing with it, man. I love what you're doing with it.
And it came out. I had been waiting for this to come out for way too long, because I did a beta testing of it. I think that's as much as I'm allowed to say or whatever, because Native Instruments have their office like, I don't know, a couple of kilometers, like 15 minutes by foot, I think, away from my home. So I was lucky enough to go in for beta testing. I had no idea what I was gonna test,
That's awesome.
And then
Berlin. Oh my god.
And then I didn't hear anything.
You're so
about
lucky
that
to be in
product.
Berlin.
I was just waiting for this product to come out, and I gave up hope at some point, and then it got announced out of nowhere, and then I pre-ordered it, and then 2 weeks after it came to my doorstep, my daughter was born. So That was
Oh wow.
that was cool, you know. That was but that was also more exciting than the Machina and more time consuming. So I didn't really have time to get into it. So I think
I see.
Colibri was like the second song I produced on the Machina Plus that I ended up releasing, or the third one, I think. I don't know, but like and so for me, that was my first real like sitting down with the product like in one go for a really long session and producing that, like really appreciating the device. And then I was like, but there's something missing, you know, and I need something more lush, something that gives it some more, because I also had those spring vibes in mind, and spring was about to start, and I was like, I need some guitar in there. And I thought of, and I don't even know how you popped in my head. But somehow I was like, yeah, there's this guitarist, Metic. I think we never ever texted before. Did we? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it was. I just remember thinking, well, it was quite a surprise when I first got the message. But at the same time, I was like, oh, okay, something to do, something to do.
Yeah, amazing. No, and then you literally sent me back those guitars, I think like 20 minutes later. Like it felt like that. I think it was like 4 hours later, but
hey, I was a man with a purpose.
Yeah.
At that point, I was a man with a
the eyes on the prize.
I was a man with a.
I was so surprised because I never ever. Usually, it's like sometimes you send something for a collab and you get something back after maybe 2 weeks, or it's like, yeah, we should collab. Yeah, I'm working on. Let me cook something up this weekend, and then you're like, 4 months later, yeah, I'm still waiting for that beat of yours. You know, I was very surprised for this to happen this fast. So.
Because when I was in the hotel quarantine, I made sure I got my interface, my laptop, and
planning ahead.
I asked my mom to bring my guitar to the hotel so I could have a guitar to play with as well. So yeah, I was
lucky me.
Yeah.
What kind of guitar? Which guitar did you record that on? It's probably somewhere there.
Yeah, it's just right here.
The audio listeners, it is a
Sunburst. I'm usually, it's a PRS 305.
Sweet.
I don't know if you can. Yeah, there you go. PRS 305, and it's like a really old. I think it was back in the 2000s. Came out in the 2000s.
Wow.
And it's not even mine. To be completely honest, a buddy of mine just lent it to me like indefinitely.
In the 2000s, in the early 2000s.
No.
Let me keep that.
It's actually kind of a funny story. I met him in law school, and he used to love playing the guitar, and then he got into rock climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know if you know any climbers, man. Like they.
Yeah, actually, my best friend from high school did climbing.
How are his fingers and knuckles? Are they like super rugged and like?
Yeah, I think so.
Really. So anyway, like my buddy.
I gotta check. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna have a look next time. I'm gonna send you a picture.
Yeah. Do look at it. Because what ended up happening to my buddy was he just got total like climber hands. Like all his joints are like super super bulky. Like I don't know what you call it, but they're just super like climber. It's insane. It's insane. So he basically can't really play guitar that well anymore. Like he like it's almost like he chose rock climbing at the expense of guitar. And then he was very nice to offer to lend me his PRS. So the story about, I'm actually a Fender guy. I've always been a Fender guy. I've always had a Strat. Here. But yeah, but
the Fender bass is there. I think you can't see it. It's a Jaguar.
I remember seeing. I love that bass. I love that bass. But this PRS 305 is actually a Stratocaster clone, and there's that single coil sound is actually. It might even be strattier than the Strat I have in New York.
I was gonna say it sounds so much like a Strat. I could have sworn
insane.
It was one when I heard it. It's so like, it's there. It's like right here.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's basically a really it's like because PRS, they're really known for like their craftsmanship, their how well built it is. So it's basically like a super well built like Strat, and like I was so surprised, and I was just so grateful to my friend as well.
Well-built Strat. Take that, Fender.
Yeah. Well, so if we get into
not trying to
like,
burn any bridges here. Sponsor me, Fender, please.
I think that ship has long sailed for me. But yeah, I mean, the comparison's been made that this PRS could sound like what a custom shop Stratocaster would sound like in today's Fender world.
Wow,
that type of thing.
Wow.
But I mean, that's totally subjective. But like,
yeah. Crazy.
But yeah, that's the guitar, and yeah, that's. And then so you were talking about how you just had the flute riff in your head, and then you just sat down with your Machine Plus, and then just went on for 4 hours.
Right. And it was like, I had one of those sessions last night. I set up my Machine Plus over here now with a little tiny MIDI keyboard. Not that I have a big one over here. Just right. But I sat down last night. I wanted to record. I had this like 5/4 drum beat in head, like.
Right.
Yeah. So it's basically one more hit, at the end.
Yeah.
And then I recorded it, and I took a quick break. I went back to it, and I was like, no, that's disturbing, that last kick drum. So I just basically made it to be 4/4 again. And then I played with some bass lines, and I ended up recording until 2 a.m. And
how are you juggling? How are you finding time between family life and like music life, in addition to like work life? Like how are you? Because I know some people have different ways of getting around. Juggling all these things. Like I have a buddy in New York. He would wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m., make beats for a couple hours, and then when his kids wake up, he starts making breakfast for the kids and all that stuff. So like he would wake up super early to get that. So like how are you finding that balance at the moment?
I mean, we're still like getting into a certain groove, because like our daughter is still, she's 7 months. She's turning 7 months old. 7 months old next week. She's So there's still so much changing. Like she literally started crawling yesterday, kind of. Like she did some type of crawling in the last couple of days already, and like yesterday it kind of started looking like the real deal. And like so many changes. I'm getting excited thinking of her now, being in the other room. So I'm sitting here missing her. I haven't seen her over because of the bass lines in the last 2 hours, but she's like 20 meters away from me.
I see. Okay.
No, but so usually she's the one waking us up in the morning. And usually my wife gets up with her, and then I like get up a couple of like half an hour later maybe, because I tend to stay up a little longer than them. So I think the short answer is, you have to make some compromises, and I think sleep is the one I'm compromising.
Sleep, the most,
which is always what I did do, but that's of course not the best way to do it. So what I started, like I would say my entire lifestyle has become more healthy than before we had her, because before I was actually compromising even more in sleep, and I just did more projects. So what I'm doing now is basically focusing on less projects. So I also cut back on like the whole, like I'm not trying to do a YouTube video, 2 songs, a collab, and another thing within 1 week. I'm just like, I've got 3 focus points this week. This week is a bad example because I've got exactly that. I've got like a collab.
Well, you got Sunbeam. You got Sunbeam as well.
We released a song yesterday.
Congrats.
Thank you. Did another, like, have a YouTube video that I need to edit in the pipe, which was really cool to film. So I definitely want to, put that out. I've got 2 tracks to finish. So this week is a very bad example of that, but generally, I
know
would
what you mean.
say less projects, more focus on single projects, and it's
Right.
actually quite nice because it's also everything feels less cluttered, you know. So it's
Yeah.
generally it's a good change, and it doesn't feel like I have less time actually. And
Right.
plus, to be honest, like I didn't have to go to work as much due to COVID, so that was also quite nice.
Okay.
So like I didn't really need to be physically at my job. I could also work a lot from home.
That's true.
So
Save
that
time
saved
from
me some
commute.
time.
Yeah.
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 Which is about to change, which is, I guess, generally a good thing. Yeah. So that's that. I was wondering, how long have you been playing guitar for?
Oh, since 2003. Fuck, I'm old. That was when I was in middle school. Fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it all started with an ankle injury actually, because I was in high school. Sorry, I was in high school. Went to high school in the U.S. in Massachusetts, and during those days, everybody had a sport to play. You know, we would go to school in the morning, played a sport in the afternoon, and it was the fall of 2003. So I was playing soccer, football, and I twisted my ankle pretty bad one practice, and I think I was out for maybe at least 2-3 weeks or something. And then so for a good 2-3 weeks I had nothing to do in the afternoon but just sitting in my dorm room.
It's like
so I
quarantine.
was really, yeah, exactly. I was
the
just
same thing.
bored, super bored. But then I got so bored, I remembered the kid across the hall from me had a acoustic guitar in his room. So I would just borrow it every afternoon and started learning tabs every day, and that's how it started, with an injury.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, lucky us, I guess. Thanks.
I'm glad the ankle's fine now.
Now you've got both. You can still play soccer whenever you want to, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm not that young anymore.
I feel that.
That's yeah. That was kind of what also pushed me to quit my job and really kind of do this. Because if I didn't quit my job, then I was never. Yeah, I don't think I'd be doing music ever.
How did you make that decision? Because it's a scary one, you know. I think a lot of us
it's still scary.
Are still on the verge to deciding that, including me. I'm definitely not quitting yet, you know, because I still have too much to lose right now. But
yeah, I hear you.
And it's not stable enough for me yet. But I'm what pushed you over the edge?
I think first off, it all starts with the career that I was in, which was I was in the legal field, and really high stress work environment, really consumed most, if not all, of your day. And I kind of went into it thinking, I could juggle between work and music, but that was a little naive of me. Ever since work really started to hit, ramp up, and once it ramped up, it never really so I just didn't have the time. And even on the days where I would have the time to do a little bit of music, I wouldn't have the energy.
And I know that feeling. You're and then you get the anxiety levels just keep going up, because you're now you have time, do something with it, you know. And then you're it's that's how to kill off creativity in a second, you know.
Exactly. It's I have to make something, but what I made wasn't that great.
Right.
Fuck. Or so so yeah, but other people ask me how should I quit my job, blah blah blah. But what I always say is if you got a job that gives you the time and latitude to explore your hobbies, you should milk that until the very end, until you can.
Definitely.
And then I think at the point where I quit, I just like mentally I wasn't in the best place, and I didn't even know if I could do music at that point. Because I for a good 4 or 5 years I barely touched the guitar. At the end of it, I barely listened to music anymore.
That's
as a
rough.
producer, right, you would hear like that flute melody you heard for Calibri, those melodic ideas I used to have. By the end of those 4 years, I didn't have any of those anymore. It was kind of like a very empty, like barren feeling. And part of quitting was kind of to see if I could get that back, and luckily I did. And yeah, so then that's what kind of convinced me that creativity is not a finite like fountain, if you will. It's more of like a muscle.
Yeah,
that if you
definitely
exercise it more, it comes to you. Yeah.
And I think also the more you stay in it, sometimes you just like take a break, of course, like let those muscles grow, but sometimes that's a good image actually. But the more you stay in it, the more easy things will get. And wow, thanks for giving me that image. That's a muscle.
So if you ever get into a spot where you feel like nothing is working, just don't worry, because it'll come back as long as you keep feeding, keep listening to music, or if not music, or picking up a new photography or whatever. Just keep indulging,
right?
Your like your inner child.
Yeah. And the more you look sideways, the more like you can go ahead as well. Like the more different things you try out, the more your path will seem clear. I think my camera keeps dying, so I have one like final question there. How long has it been now since you've been doing music full time?
It's been like two and something years.
Wow.
So it's I mean, I went through a period where it was, I wasn't sure if music, I could even do music, and so there was like 100%. An exploration period at the beginning, and then when I finally decided to do it, and then I just changed like all my like life habits. I quit like smoking, quit drinking, stayed in a lot more, and just to like that cut down like all these
big difference.
It just made a huge difference. Just seeing cutting down expenses, and at the same time trying to meet as many people as I can. And I'm very lucky to be able to like stay at my parents here when I'm in Hong Kong, and at the same time when I'm in New York, our rent is subsidized a little bit just because of like my wife's job as well. So so like we're just little lucky breaks here and there. Like I'm able to kind of like extend my runway, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can definitely relate to that. My wife's also a creative person, so we've been in that like mindset for a long time, because none of us really wanted to like compromise there and really like do something else. So but you work yourself there. It's not an easy path, but I think in the end it's the one that's worth it. So
it's the rewarding one.
It is. I've got finally thank you for that like personal insight. That was, I think, very, very interesting. And thank you for opening up like that.
No worries, man. Not at all. I'm just happy to talk. Yeah.
I've got some rapid fire questions at the end. Some like very quick and easy ones to get to know you. Morning time or nighttime?
Nighttime for sure.
Nighttime.
Although morning, like I would go to bed at night. Craving the coffee I will have in the morning. But I'm a night person.
I do that too. So that would be my next question: coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah. Movies or TV shows? I think that's a spicy one.
Movies. I used to be a TV show person, but I just don't have much time for as much time for TV shows lately. So movies
are like 2.5 hours, and then you're done.
Yeah,
with it.
and then you're done
watching.
You know?
It's like there's no sequel. There's no episode.
Yeah, exactly.
10 after 9.
And nothing really replaces the theater experience as well. So I'm a sucker for going to the movie theater as well. Even if it's like for like a shitty movie, I would still want to go to the theater.
I'm like the exact opposite. I'm like TV shows all the way. Don't like movies. I said that. I genuinely don't like movies, but that's a different story. But I wish it wasn't that way. Let me tell you that. I wish it weren't that way.
I will give it, because TV shows they're so well written these days. Like, because I think the TV shows used to be discounted as like, you can't do movies. You're a TV show actor.
Right.
But like TV shows have really catapulted into, like, the production value of TV shows have gotten so high. So I totally relate to that as well.
It's kind of like singles versus albums, right? I mean, like, it's just more drops you can pull. So
yeah, that's true.
That being said, I prefer sitcoms, so my craving for production value is very low.
Yeah, I don't know about really well produced. They're all well produced.
What was your first song you learned to play on the guitar when having your ankle twisted?
Oh, that was it's so stupid. It's Come As You Are.
Oh, mine was on bass. Come As You Are was one of my first 3, definitely. Yeah.
Right, because it's so
easy. It's so easy.
Yeah.
I think my first one was a Christmas song.
That's a great. It's always great. You can play it every year.
Yeah, I don't know which one it was, and I can't play it anymore. And it was like the melody just on bass, so very boring. What's the one record you bring on a lonely island?
One record.
I wouldn't want to answer that myself.
Okay, like an album, right? So album.
Yeah. You can also just bring one song, you can bring one single.
Oh, actually, you know what I've been really, really loving lately? I mean, it's not really a classic, but the FKJ Lang Lang EP. It's the one of him.
Yeah.
The 4-song.
Yeah.
Oh, I still go back to it. Is it
the one
so
with
much.
like with that piano song is the first song? Is it?
Yeah. So
that, right?
I think you've seen the YouTube video of him just jamming, in his studio in his home. Pretty much, it's just him at home.
I'm just pulling it up right here.
Yeah.
That's I was when the quarantine thing started. That was, I think, that was what I was listening to all the time.
Yeah, and then it just made me forget about everything.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It just came to my, but that's my answer for now, and it would probably.
We'll put it in the show notes later and in the YouTube description. The updated answer.
Yeah.
What's your favorite guitar? I think we already answered that during the show. The one you bring on a lonely island as well.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, if I had to bring a guitar to an island, I wouldn't bring any of my electric guitars,
but you can also bring an amplifier.
So I would probably. Ooh. I would
they
probably
do
still
have
bring
electricity
my.
there,
With free Wi-Fi and stuff. I would probably have to bring my Yamaha acoustic, which is my very first ever guitar, and I took it. Sadly, I don't have it here with me. It's my steel string. It's a steel string acoustic.
Nice.
It's like 7/8 sized, so it's not full size. So it was perfect for me as a beginner at the time, and perfect for me now, really, because everything is so easy to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in New York right now. I miss that a lot. So another reason why I wanted to make an album when I was in New York just a few months ago was I wanted to make the most of my time when I had the Yamaha acoustic. So
it's a very pragmatic reason. I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. So all the songs that have come out this year for me, they feature they feature it. Yeah.
That's like almost like a cute love story. I think it's like I want to make I'm just to spend more time with my guitar.
Just more time.
You also recorded
no love like your first.
I think we can give like a little bit of a preview. We've got another song in the pipe.
Postcard. Are you sticking with that name?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
Or something.
Postcard
memories or something. And you also record something on nylon guitar there, right? Is it the one in the background?
Yeah. So that's the one. Yeah, you're correct. That's the one in the background. So funny story behind that guitar is, it's again not. It does not belong to me. It was given to me. It was gifted to me by my buddy Lampchop, who is now in shout out Lampchop. He's now in Victoria, Canada. So that was Lampchop. He's from Victoria, and then he moved out to Hong Kong around like 2010, 2011. And then I met him through mutual friends, but we never made music together until like 2018.
You guys have like a joint project, right?
Yeah. So our joint project is called Horizon Terminal, and that was all from 2018 when we started making music together. And he moved back to Victoria in 2019, in the summer of 2019. Because of I think his mother's health at the time, and so he essentially all his stuff at home, like he just gave away a lot of his instruments, and so like this instrument stand right here, like this rack, is also his.
I used to have one of those as well. I gave it to my neighbor upstairs, so shout out to my neighbor.
Shout out neighbors.
who bought my one of my guitars off of eBay. Because I sold a lot of guitars before my daughter was born just to make some extra cash, and I still have like plenty, so it's fine. But I sold my first guitar that I ever had. It had a lot of sentimental value to me, but it was a shitty guitar, so I ended up selling it for like $50. And it turned out that was my neighbor buying it, and so he just was like, "Can I come downstairs now and pick it up?" And I was like, what?
"Yeah,"
because he's like,
"Where
can I come?" I'm like, this is my street, you know. And he's like, "Oh, me too. Which number?" And like, oh, I'm not gonna say that here.
Oh yeah.
And he's
cut
like,
that out. Bleep that out.
10,000 is what I said. And he was like, "Me too. Which building?" And I'm like, wait, I know who you are. And then he painted it pink, which was amazing, and it looks so good.
Oh, that's awesome.
And our neighbors complained about the paint smell. And I'm like,
oh, that's awesome. You could kind of visit.
He came downstairs and he rang my door and he was like, "Yeah, I just want to show you the guitar. It looks like this." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's so cool." And then I gave him my stand as well. I had one of those multi stands. But since I sold most of my guitars, or half of my guitars, I didn't need the stand anymore.
Right.
Here, and then
Yeah, I love the wall setup as well.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, first guitars, man. First, you'll never forget it.
I also sold my first bass, so I'm apparently not very sentimental.
But you kind of have to do it at some point.
It's not a good instrument, so you're out. Do you have a bass guitar as well?
Yeah,
that would just be my question. What's your favorite bass?
Well, no, this is not my. Well, I can't say this is not my favorite bass in front of this bass. No. This. So my favorite bass is actually the one I just bought at the beginning of this year in New York. It's a Sire V3 bass, and because basically the story for that is during my whole time in New York, right up until the end of last year. My buddy, who is a really good bassist, lent me his bass, and it's like a Fender Marcus Miller signature model bass.
Nice.
It was super nice. It was amazing.
Like a jazz bass, or?
It was a jazz bass. It had an onboard preamp. You turn on the preamp. It's super warm and thick and stuff. And then it was amazing. I was so spoiled with
drooling here.
And then so I had that for the longest time, and then but yeah, since I was away for most of last year, he was like, oh yeah, I'm starting to play bass again, could you bring it back?
And you're like, nope, I'm going to Hong Kong and taking it with me.
No. No, yeah, so he like came by and picked it up. And so yeah, when I went back to New York at the end of last year, I had to get a new bass for recording, and I was just researching the hell out of beginner, like budget friendly basses and stuff. And I found out Marcus Miller actually he's not doing basses with Fender anymore, as far as I know. He's starting to do this new he's partnering with this Korean bass brand called Sire.
Okay.
And they're making really high quality basses for well, actually he's not only making like cheap basses, but also like really, really nice premium basses as well in Sire. But like the bass that I got in Sire is like the cheaper one. And it sounds super nice. You know, it's got a onboard preamp.
Nice.
And yeah, it sounds really good.
Nice.
So I miss that bass a lot. But
you're fine too, baby.
Yeah, this is my baby too. It's just an Ibanez bass, and
I had one of those as well.
Yeah, I don't even know like what kind of model it is, but yeah, it sounds.
They're like solid. I think they're like good all rounders. Like I love my Ibanez bass. I was just like I didn't like the looks of it that much, but you know that doesn't really matter. But like it felt really nice playing, and it was a nice, like, it just sounded very round and very like wooden, you know. So, and it felt really good to play. Fun fact: I learned to play the bass on a Marcus Miller signature, like a mixture of a jazz bass neck and a precision bass body glued together somehow. That was what my bass teacher had, and it was I'm still like, this is to me the highest standard of what a bass can be, and I still haven't found one that's that great.
Oh my god.
But like this one,
that's what
I love this one. So
the Jaguar. Yeah, I like that.
I got two quick ones more, like two quick questions left. What's your DAW of choice?
Oh, it can't be quick for this one. It used to be Logic.
Right.
It used to be Logic all the way. But very recently, as I got more and more into like just trying to build a better live set, I started learning Ableton because Logic, I used to gig with the SP, which is sitting right here. I used to just gig with the SP, and then I would play my guitar sounds through just Logic, and then I would just select. It was pretty clunky, you know. It was just like a clean guitar track here, a funk wah, and then like a distorted, and then I would like have to press the up down arrow of, you know, it was super like clunky and stuff. It wasn't smart, so I started learning Ableton. It took me like, I put it off for so many years.
Right, I'm still putting it off. I have it on my computer. It's always the first thing I delete when I need space on my hard disk.
Oh god! But I think isn't the Ableton office like right next to the NI?
It is
office,
pretty close to. It's like the studio that, it's not that close, but it's like the studio where I used to. I don't know if that's their main office, but where I used to, with my old band, together with my wife, we used to have our songs mixed in this one studio, and the Ableton office was like in the same backyard.
Oh my god!
But like, I think that's all that Berlin has to offer. So
it's amazing.
After 7 years, I'm kind of tired of the city, but that's a whole different podcast.
I hear you. But yeah, like with live, I finally sucked it up and learned session view. I still have yet to touch arrangement view in Ableton, which is like the timeline view. Yeah. Because I still do everything. I produce everything in Logic still.
Okay.
I still refuse to go to Ableton for producing.
Well, but you have your workflow.
Yeah, I love it for live shows, man. It's so good.
I also just love the looks of it. I love working with Logic, especially like vocal editing. Same. I mean, I produce 95% of what I do in Maschine, like everything just in Maschine. But when I need like vocals, like need to edit vocals or something, I do that
Right.
in Logic, and I just love the workflow because I've been using it for like 10 years now. So it's just
Yeah,
click,
me
click, click, click,
too.
shortcuts, shortcuts,
Me
shortcuts.
too.
So I'm like, and I
Exactly.
love how Ableton looks, you know, I love the interface, but,
Right.
and I would love to learn it, but I'm like, maybe next month.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't give a short answer for that
That's
because
fine.
so I'm
I
so
love
divided.
this longest rapid fire ever. It's not rapid. It's just slow and painful fire.
My wife would be
nice.
watching this. My wife would be watching this, and she'll be like, "Of course," because she finds me super long-winded, and I'm sure you and your viewers will agree with my wife on this.
My wife doesn't even watch my videos anymore, and I asked her like recently to like kind of, you know. It's so sad.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Where did the love go?
I can relate. Hey, you know what? Pound. High five. I can relate.
Like, do you even watch my videos? I asked her like a year ago, like, do you even watch them? And he's like, no, should I? And I'm like, well, you should want to watch them. I'm not gonna make you sit through them.
I was
but-
like, yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, hey, can you have a look at this? Like, is this edit fine? And she's like, can I do it tomorrow? I'm like, it's fine. You know what? It's fine.
Yeah,
But her sister watches
trust
my
me.
video every time. So shout out Mary if you're here. What's up?
Hey,
thanks for
Mary,
tuning in.
you're a real one.
Yeah.
Nah, wifey's a real one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Final question. The classic: drums first or melody first? You're a guitarist, so
Yeah.
I'm expecting
melody
the
for
answer
me.
to be
Yeah. So melody 99.9% of the time for me. I think for me it's so weird because for me the melody it would always come with a groove already.
Mhm.
It would be like so like my melodies would already have a groove, so I would kind of so if I did drums first, it would kind of change the way I do my melodies.
right.
Actually, you know
I
what?
get
Like
that,
I
yeah.
would say for my solo stuff, I do melody first. But you know, for collabs, a lot of times, like for example with Horizon Terminal, you know, Lampchop would just send me like a drum loop,
Mhm.
and then my guitar would be totally be informed by the groove from his drums. So, yeah,
drums
I guess
first,
I
unless
do both.
if you don't have to do them, basically.
Yeah, I
Kinda.
guess. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, melodies just come more natural for me, I guess.
Amazing. For me, it's like
Yeah.
chords and bass lines, and then like the drums and the melodies are like kind of put around it. It's a very weird workflow, and I feel like it's not the most productive one. And I'm switching it up currently. Like I'm changing it.
Yeah, I think it's good to just try different workflows, and you'll feel a little awkward at first, but
Yeah.
your experience as a producer would be totally upgraded.
Yeah. Sweet. I think we're at the end of our time here, and at the end of my memory of my computer and my camera. Do you have anything else you want to say at the end? No pressure.
Nah, just yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on Coffee Time, and yeah, pleasure just collaborating with you. You made my quarantine that much better. And
Same.
yeah, look and look forward to postcard memories and whatever else we have in the pipeline in the future.
I'm sure there's gonna be more to come.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for sitting here with me and opening up like that. And I'll see you off camera.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and I'll see you on the next episode, or you will see me on the next episode.
Yeah.
That was a horrible outro. I'll run with it anyways. Take care, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.